I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. The season's
Same
coming
old.
around. There's no same old, but again, with the snow that's not here, I don't really feel Christmassy, so,
I know. It keeps
you know,
coming and going.
and it's not gonna change, I think.
I know. It's brutal.
The last time I saw you, you were Mrs. Sorry, you were a Miss, and now you're a Mrs., so
Yes, I'm
tell me about
married.
that.
It was an experience. So it was amazing. He's definitely my person. The day of, a bunch of stuff happened that wasn't supposed to happen, but I was, the most calm person that I ever was. So I think that made me feel really good, knowing that this is the right person for me, even though all this crap was happening, I'm making the right decision. But it was awesome. It was honestly the best day of my life. Planning was a lot. I didn't have a planner. I did it all myself. So that was so much. But I'm happy. I'm happy it's done, and I'm happy it's a memory now, and we all get to have it in our heads forever. So it was a lot of fun.
How did you
Yeah.
guys meet? Was it like a online thing?
Mutual friends.
Hmm.
So at the time, we met during the beginning of COVID, and we met through mutual friends, which was easy because it was my best friend and his best friend that introduced us. So it was
It's
good.
always better that way.
Yes, it was so much better that way. Yeah. And there was an instant connection. So it was nice. I said in my vows, I experienced for the first time, when you know with him. So it was a nice feeling.
See, I would love to know when I know. So, what? I guess I can ask you that. What's that feeling for you specifically? The best way you can describe that, knowingness, I would say.
To be honest with you, I was scared speaking to him because I had just come out of I dated a lot of people growing up. I was in and out of relationships, and there was a bunch of stuff that I learned through that. So I just came out of a relationship, and I was kind of in the place where I was I want to be by myself. I don't want to meet anybody. When my friend told me about this, I was okay, it's fun and games, whatever. But when I met him and I started talking to him, the way that he spoke to me, the way that he was so intrigued by me and so interested, it kind of scared me. I kept removing myself from the situation because I was I don't want to date anybody right now. This is not what I want in my life. And I just didn't see anything casual with him. It wasn't serious, but the way that he was giving me all of his attention when he spoke to me, we met at a party, so there were so many other people in the room. And I just never experienced that before. So it was a little bit scary at first. And that's kind of how I knew.
It's funny how things work that way, right? When you say, I'm not going to do this, it comes around the corner, it gets thrown at you. You're just do I go with it? Do I not?
Yeah.
What was your mental process with that? Did you feel very heavy on your emotions and stuff with it, or was it kind of just you were in and out of the thoughts of
I
that?
kind of brushed it off. I didn't give him the time of day that night, and we spoke all night. It was a lot, and then I literally woke up the next morning. I was still at my mom's place. I was having breakfast with my mom, and she's "How was your night last night?" And I'm "I think I met my husband last night, but I'm not going to do anything about it because I don't want a boyfriend, so it's not happening." And she's
That's
"What?" And I'm "Yeah, no, I'm I think I met the love of my life last night, but it is what it is because I'm not dating anybody." I was so set on just I felt I had internal demons to tackle,
uh,
so I needed to figure that out first. And then it was about a month and a half later, we met each other again at a friend's birthday party, and again COVID, whatever. So we went in a park, and I
were
remember I
you
had to go to the
chatting
wash.
between that?
No, we did not talk. Like,
Gotcha.
I knew of him, he knew of me. I had seen him in passing, but we never really we didn't follow each other on Instagram. He didn't have my phone number, nothing like that.
And sorry, that was how long between
It was
meeting?
a
Okay.
month and a half. And then we went to a friend's birthday party, and it was in a park, and I had to go to the washroom. So I remember being asking my friend if she could come to the washroom with me, we're
Hmm.
girls, whatever. And she was no, I don't have to go. She was being shady. And I was okay, whatever. And he stood up. He's I'll go to the washroom with you. And then I was in my head, I'm okay, you know what? I'll give him a chance. So
To
the whole
walk
way
you
to the
through the
washroom,
bathroom.
yeah. The whole way to the bathroom, he was flirting with me. I was hey, flirting back now. And I went to the washroom, and I was hey, you can go. He's I don't have to go. I'm oh my God, you're so sweet. And then from there, I gave him my number, and he started texting me. We started going on dates. So yeah.
That's so crazy. Like, even you saying,
Yeah.
you waking up the next day and going home and telling your mom, like, I think I met my husband. Did you just wake up and that's what came out of your mouth? Or was that like an essence that you had leaving that party, going to bed, waking up? Like, what was that for you?
I think I knew like that night. Like I had slept at this person's, like the party was one of the best friends that had introduced us. So it was like at his house. It was his birthday.
Mm.
So I had slept there with my best friend, like in a different room, and everyone had gone to bed and we were just like up watching TV, and he was like talking to me about some in-depth things, like just like his view on life and my view on life and things like that. And it kind of just like
Just drunk
aligned.
talks.
Yeah, like so in-depth things. And I was kind of like, oh my gosh. And then like, I don't know, I just kind of had a feeling that night. Like I was like, I've never felt this way before meeting someone. And then with my mom, like I think I said it to kind of be like, you know,
Blunt.
emphasize the feeling I had, like, you
Mm.
know, and then a few, like after the second time meeting him, going on a date with him, like spending one-on-one time, I was like, no, like this is legit.
Yeah. So what you said about like not feeling that feeling of in-depthness, did you not
Yeah.
get that in your past relationships, or you did, but it
No.
wasn't to a level? Mm.
No, I wouldn't say, well, I mean, like maybe I did to a point.
Was it more in depth of like, I don't want to say lustful, but like in that sense, that depth, and not like life talks, more so to
Yeah,
speak?
like I would say more so like it would all be about like lust or like looks or like something like that, right? There would be something like immediately that would attract me, and whether it was like they were really funny and I was attracted to like that, but I didn't let myself see anything else, or like if they were just like super attractive and I didn't see anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think with my husband, like he wasn't like my initial type. Like now I can say I don't have a type. I never had a
Well,
type. Like I
I
was
hope
just
not.
you know. But like he wasn't like the person I would be attracted to
Initially, yeah.
initially, like off the bat. And then when I spoke to him, I just like so much attraction like came from like the way that he was so interested in me, and he put me first in like our conversations from the very beginning, which was kind
Mm.
of weird for me at the time.
Because you never got that.
Yeah, I think it was always like a kind of, I mean, I was younger too, right? Like I only met my husband when I was 23. So like when I was dating other people, I was younger, and I think that's in
Yeah.
myself too. It has something to do with the way I was as well, right? Like you
Yeah.
learn things as you grow up about yourself, for sure.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say, like, what made you, like you just said, you go in and out of these relationships quick. Like, did you like take a second beyond being like, I need to be single, and then meeting someone else? Did you take a second to recognize where that came from and how that made you be in those relationships, so to speak?
I don't think I can't really pinpoint like why I've always kind of been in a relationship. I think I just like partnership. Like I love really,
Companionship,
yeah,
people,
companionship. Like
yeah,
people, like I love really hard. Like when you're my person, you're my person, or like when you're a part of my circle, you're a part of my circle, and I will
long
like,
term.
yeah, like I will like kill for you. So
Yeah,
you know, I think I just put everything into it. And like when you're younger, and I feel like, you know, someone gives you like an ounce of what you think love might be at that time, you take it as like this magical thing, right? And I think I went through that with different people giving me different aspects of love until I like figured out what it is that I actually, how I needed to be loved. Like I was like, hold on a
yeah,
second, like how, what do I want? Like, you know what I mean? So I think that's
yeah,
why I had to take a second and be like, who am I? How am I going to love myself in order for somebody to love me, you know?
yeah. That's literally what it is at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
it's funny that you said you took that little thing and made it so wide. I'm
Yeah.
gonna jump into like my astrology side of me, because I go to an astrologer and we talk about stuff like that. And we were just chatting about the year that I was having, and she kept telling me, she's like, you specifically take little things like that and make it so big and
Yeah.
take it to the grave. She's like, you need to take things, yeah, if it's great, but don't make it your whole world. And that's so funny that you brought that up, because like I do that all the time with anything, and it's
Yeah.
like, it's great, but then I start creating this life where it's just like not real for what's happening. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
I even do it with bad things too. Like if
Yes.
like I'm really close with my mom, and if she texts me like a dry text, I'm like, "Are you mad at me?" Like I freak. I'm like, "Why am I doing this to myself? It's so bad." Like, you know?
You're
But
probably sensitive to her even if she's off. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You
like
just
I'm
take it
like
internally.
I don't want you I don't want her to feel upset because that upsets me. And she's always like, you have to
Yeah.
stop doing that. Like, and I'm like, I know, but it's who I've always been.
Yeah. How do you step away from that with relationships being like that?
Honestly, Dan, it's really hard. Like, it's something I'm currently working on because, like, planning a wedding, like, really showed me that, like, I cannot take on other people's, like, feelings all the time. And, like,
Yeah.
it's really hard with, like, my husband and my mom specifically because, like, you know, I'm so attached, like,
To both.
to both of them. So I have to, like, distance myself from it. And honestly, I haven't figured it out yet. Like, that's still a journey of mine. It's something that I've realized recently that is, like, not very healthy for me to do so consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do the exact same thing, and it's like I'm looking for things in people sometimes, or creating, I don't want to say create an outcome. Yes, create an outcome of a relationship, or I take that little goodness of what I receive from them, and then I'm like, oh my God, my best friend. Like,
Yeah.
do this and that. You know what I mean? It's so grand, and it's like I gotta harness that energy into other things, which I do, but like for me, you can relate. Obviously, relationships are just that thing for me where I'll
Yeah.
go the extra mile or 20 miles even to
Yeah.
like get to where I need to go. And it's like if they can't see it, I want to help them look at something I'm seeing, but it's like it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
I know.
But it's funny that you said that because like we literally have the same birthday, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
So I think on that level of like energy and knowingness, like we do have some similarities there. I wanted to ask you, do you know like your rising and your moon signs?
I think I'm Libra in both the last time that I remember. To be honest with you, Dan, I don't know.
The last time I checked.
The last time I checked, which I don't think it changes, but I don't really know much about like any other sign other than my sign, just because like I'm, you know, I know who I am. I feel like I'm a Gemini through and through. Like whenever, you know, my mom even says it to a T, like she's a Gemini, watch out, like all this stuff. It's true though. So
like keeping her guard
yeah,
up.
she's
watch
like,
it.
don't get too close.
Honestly, getting into it, I feel like I can already tell like you would be so interested. But like the astrology thing has been so interesting to me because I really got into it. Like I've been aware of like Gemini and stuff, but like actually getting in depth with it, like maybe 2021, because I started going to an astrologer and like learning all these things, and it's like,
That's cool.
the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know if you're aware of it, but your rising sign is how you're perceived as. Your
Yeah.
sun sign is who you are, and then your moon sign is your emotions and who you are to
Yeah.
yourself.
Okay.
So the way that I am, I'm a Leo rising, I'm a Gemini sun, and I'm a Taurus moon.
Okay. I don't like
I
Taurus
said-
men.
Well, the thing with Taurus, it's very she says to me all the time, my moon sign's very it's a good solid space.
It is.
But like I can get into spaces where like if I'm feeling something and I can't shake it off, I just stick with that emotion and I'm stubborn.
Yeah.
I don't run into anything. I just hold it until I figure out what's next.
Yeah.
And like, you know, there's stuff that happens that I need to fix and do, but
Yeah.
I don't allow myself.
For sure, like all of us.
But yeah, but like even learning about like Gemini, like she was telling me your rising sign is how you're born as. So
Okay.
I'm a Gemini, but I'm not a full Gemini yet. So I have that Leo rising, and then at the end of my lifetime, I'll become a Gemini. So it's like
Ah.
that's why we drive ourselves crazy because we're trying to learn what it is
Ah.
as we're being it. You
That's
know?
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I know
but
that-
it gives you perspective because like when we grow up and we start like seeing like, oh, your horoscope, and you know you have other Geminis in your life and you're reading the horoscope, but it's like this is not me.
I know.
Obviously it's very generalized, and like, you know, you
Yeah.
little teen looking at
Yeah.
Cosmopolitan and you're like, hey, what's my horoscope this week?
I know,
You
I know.
But getting in depth with it really gets into like your DNA of who you are as a person, and it kind of just helps you navigate but also understand yourself at the same time.
Yeah, I'm
which is
interested.
great.
I actually do read my horoscope, so I'm one of those girls, but honestly, it's very accurate most of the time. Like, it always makes me feel connected to, like, my astrology, but I've always been interested in, like, learning more about it, like, expanding outside of, like, myself
I'll send you
and
my
Gemini.
girl. I'll send you
Yes,
my girl's
yeah,
contacts.
yeah. Because I'm like,
I'm not kidding. Every person I've had on here, I'm like, I'm sending you my girl. Don't worry. I
I
got you.
know. So I'm like, you know, like, why do I feel like it's connected to, like, why we do certain things, obviously, why we act certain ways. So, like, I'm just, like, interested in, like, where that comes from. You know what I mean?
Well, it's what astrology is. It's like we're all energy and we're all this big oneness, but also separate at the same time. And it's like the way that our solar system is like certain planets pull out certain energies, and like obviously throughout the years, like astrologers and anyone studying the stars, they get an understanding of what's happening and how it correlates. And
Right.
then, you know, they have the houses, house one, and then
Yeah.
some of them are family, some of it's like life and death and all that stuff. So it's like it's a buildup of knowledge over the years through experience versus like scientific stuff where it's like, oh, like today we found out that 1 + 1 = 2, so
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Ah,
you know?
okay.
So it's a more of a holistic way of trying to understand yourself.
Yeah, yeah. It's cool.
You
It's
know?
cool.
So,
That's awesome.
but besides all of that, what have you been up to, like work-wise and stuff?
I work at a bank. I am a manager, so that's what I do, like, from my 9 to 5. And then obviously I do some stuff on Instagram, but I got to get better with it, Dan. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I felt like I haven't had the time and energy in the past year from planning a wedding to be able to do it. Also, my TikTok got hacked and I didn't have it for like 6 months. So that was so irritating. So irritating. But I love that stuff. It's fun on the side. I mean, is my day job what I want to do forever? I don't know. It's what I went to school for. I like numbers. I always liked math as a kid. So when COVID,
Not me.
I freaking loved that stuff. I don't know why, but I did.
You connect with it.
Yeah, I liked it. It made sense to me. Like you said, 1 + 1 = 2. Like there was always an equation to get to the answer. So it just made sense, I guess.
You kind of like that black and white thinking.
A little
Like it's either
bit.
yes or it's either no.
A little bit, but I do believe that there are gray areas. Like there's so many gray areas.
It's not about not believing that. It's just like, I guess when it comes down to a decision, maybe you still get to a point, maybe that you're just like, okay, like it's either this or this.
Yeah, like
Even
I
if you
have
thought
to
about-
for my own.
Even if you thought about the grayness of being
Yeah.
like, hey, what is it?
Yeah.
Like when you get to that
Yeah.
point, you're like, okay, yes or no.
Like it's kind of like a pro and con thing. Like I feel like that's the gray area. Like either you're gonna have a gray area with pros or a gray area with cons. But for my own self, I need to make a decision and like move on. If I don't make a decision about something, I think about it forever. It's always in my head. I think it's like
That could be your Libra side kicking
I
in.
think it's a control thing, to be honest with you. Like I never realized how much control I like to have over situations that I'm involved in until planning a wedding I just bought a house, so doing this has been ridiculous. Like the most stressful thing I've ever done. So when you don't have control over the situations, I'm just a little bit of a freak, I guess.
What was the highlight of planning, and what was the worst part about planning?
The highlight of planning was probably like, okay, it's like the same thing. So the highlight of planning was like spending it like, with my mom, my mother-in-law, like my husband, everybody, like just seeing how excited everybody gets for you and like getting to share your ideas. Like not having a planner was really fun because you could like pick your own things and like just like see if you could do this on your own. Yeah, like it was just really like fun that way. And then the worst part about it was like having everybody's opinions and like just feeling like you had to like please everybody. I didn't have it that bad. Like thankfully my mom and my mother-in-law, they get along, like they're great. Like that's not an issue, but it was just like, different people have different tastes. And when your son and daughter are getting married, like you want some things there that necessarily I wouldn't. So it was just tough.
Yeah, and I think that's the hard part because, like, my cousin got married last year, and not to
I
say
saw.
that she didn't choose.
That was so
Not to
nice.
say that. Yeah, it was so cute. It was at Alora Mill, so beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah, not to say that like she didn't pick what she wanted, but like, we're Italian.
Yeah.
Like you want what you want, but like, hey, you need to invite this, that we need to do. Make sure, obviously, it was a lesbian wedding, so there's nothing that needs to be
traditional
about that because it's not in the first place, But I wasn't really involved. I was in the bridal party, but like I saw some of the background work, and it kind of like seeing how they were trying to take what she wanted and her wife, but also like you could see like my aunts and everyone just like wanting that like input in a way. So it's like I couldn't even imagine like doing that because I would be the guy that's like everyone don't talk to me. It would be like the first week, and I'm like, I don't want anyone's opinion.
No, it was okay. Like in the beginning, I was.
But then I'll be the one that's like, I don't know what to do. Fuck, and then I'm stressed out, and they're trying to help me. I'm like, no.
No, I would literally come. Like I would tell everyone, like, yeah, no, like whatever, and then I would come down here and tell my husband, you need to tell them no because I'm not telling them no because I'm not. This isn't happening because it's ugly and I don't want it. And then at the end of it, like literally, I was just like, no, it's not happening. No, like I just didn't care. But it
Yeah.
gets tough. Like, I mean, you all get over it. You have a great day anyway. So it is what it is. Yeah.
That's so funny that you said that. Oh my god. I think I would be in the same boat to some sort of extent, but you would see me like listening to what they're saying, and
All the
you
time.
could tell my face is like no, but then I'm like trying to
I'm
find
like
that balance between
twitching. I'm like,
understanding.
yeah, no, no. And she's like, yeah, let's do this. And I'm like looking at my husband. He's like on his phone. I'm like, okay.
See, I wouldn't have to deal with that because I feel like I would be the person that you are and doing
Yeah,
that,
I feel like you would be too. Yeah. It's
100%.
literally, yeah, he literally just, they show up. They do nothing. His groomsmen had like their suits a week before. I was like dying, Dan. I'm like, your groomsmen aren't gonna have a shoot. Like, no one's gonna be matching. Like, our bridal party isn't gonna be matching. He's like, it's gonna be fine. I'm like, no, it's not gonna be fine.
I think we talked about that a little bit. How do you find that balance between like, yeah, it's my wedding, like it's the wedding that's important, enjoying everything, but then balancing that aesthetic side of being like they're not gonna match. They're gonna be
Oh my
like
God.
how hard was that for you to like kind of remember like, okay, like it doesn't matter at the end of the day, like we're getting married, it's a special event, or was that like not even?
Honestly, Dan, if you ask my bridal party, like, they were all like, Logan, we don't know who you were that day. Like, you were the most calm, like, happy bride. When I tell you, like,
Just
so I get
everything
there in
shut
the
off.
literally, like, we had the rehearsal dinner 2 days before, and honestly, thank God, because I was so stressed. Like, I made this whole binder. I hired like a day of planner, but
Yeah, you need to, I
li-
think.
listen,
That.
she wasn't that great, but like, whatever. It is what it is. Like,
Don't
it
watch
is what
this.
it is. Like, what am I gonna do about it now? Yeah, I'm like, okay, whatever. But I didn't give her feedback. Like, I appreciated it. Like, it is
Yeah.
what it is. But there were things that weren't done that I look back now that I probably should have just done in the morning when I was like chilling out, or like my mom could have done, or whatever. After the rehearsal dinner day, like the day before the wedding, I was running around like a crazy person, like getting all this food for the bridal suite, whatever. I call my husband. I'm like, he's like, hey, how are you? I'm like, I'm good. What are you doing? Golfing. I'm like, I'm gonna lose my mind. So, and then like, I don't know, the night before the wedding, like, I was
You're
like,
gonna go put your golf clubs away and go get the sandwiches.
you're
That's
doing
you're
what?
gonna
Like, I'm at the golf course and I needed his car. So I had to take his parents'
Oh my
car.
god.
So
Oh,
that
you're
was a
livid.
disaster. I was
Livid.
like, Dan, I was like, don't talk. Like, he was on speaker. My mom was like, be nice to him. I'm like, don't talk to me. Hang up the phone. Goodbye. Have fun golfing. But the day of the wedding, like, I don't know. I just did it. I had so much fun. And then I just, like,
Good.
once I saw, like, for example, there's so many things that went wrong. Like, Lou, we did a first look, and, like, right after he turns around, he starts bawling his eyes out. The first thing he sends to me, I just threw up in the bathroom. I'm like, are you okay? Like, are you drunk? Like, he's like, no, I was just nervous, whatever.
Aw.
And then it was freezing cold, but the weather looked great. But all of my ceremony was supposed to be outside. The wind was blowing. My flowers fell over. So, like, last minute, they had to move everything inside. So Lou comes up to me and he's like, babe, they say it's going to take like an hour and a half to move everything inside. I'm like, well, it can't because we're already half an hour late. He's like, no problem. Like, he basically took care of everything for me. So I think if he didn't, I wouldn't be okay. But then my uncle passed out right before I walked down the aisle. He fainted. So someone comes running into the bridal suite, Dan. There's a medical emergency for Logan's
No.
uncle. Call 911. And I'm like, drink anything at this point. One of the groomsmen was holding a shot. I'm like, Marco, give me that shot. I need to drink that now. His daughter was in my bridal party, so she's in the bridal suite like, is it my dad? Is it my dad? She starts bawling when they tell her it's her dad. So I didn't even have a chance to bawl. I was like, Mom. I'm like, Rachel, it's okay. Rachel, you're okay. You gotta get it together. You gotta get it together.
Yeah.
And
then you're
then,
like, I need to get it together. I need to
yeah,
get
and
it
then I'm
together.
like, and then they come back, they're like, everything's okay. I'm like, okay, let's try this again. And then I walked down the aisle, everything was fine. Then the lights and the sound flickered. The lights went off for a second. So
Oh my god, just little things here and there. You're like,
yeah, like, you know, it is what it is. But it was a great day. All in all, it was like funny stuff that happened. Everyone has stories. So
yeah. I
yeah,
think that's all
it was good.
that you want at the end of the day, just
Yeah.
like a good memory. Because like, yeah, everything
Yeah.
looks great, like on paper and aesthetically, but like,
I
there's
know.
like been parties I've been to where like everything looks beautiful, sick, and like the thought, not even what it looks like, how they planned it, what they've done, And like some people were like dicks or bitches,
Yeah.
and they're just
Yeah.
like rude, and then like, the person that's hosting, they're like in a mood, and it's just like
I know.
all of that gets thrown away, and then you're dealing with this, and you're like this.
I know. I just tried to
It
have
just takes away
fun.
from the quality of it,
Yeah. Like I'm like every wedding I go to, I'm like I just feel like it depends on the bride's mood and like what the bride is doing. And you only have one day. Like hopefully I don't do this ever again. So like, you gotta
Hopefully.
enjoy it. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So you went through the wedding, and now you guys are together. Do you guys live together?
We live together now, but we're in his parents' basement because they have like an
Okay.
apartment.
Yeah, yeah. So
But
you're
we just
together.
yeah, but we just bought a house in Barrie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
we're moving to
So, like,
Barrie.
what's post-marriage like for you? Do you feel like you're sitting differently with it? Not in a bad way, but, like, are you experiencing him differently and yourself differently? Or is it kind of just like, this is it now, and that's it?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's definitely a different feeling. Like, everybody tells you before you get married, like, especially your parents and stuff, that, like, you're gonna feel different when you're married. And, like, we've been living together for 2 years before we got
So you
married.
already, it's not even
So
like,
I was like, I'm not gonna feel any different. Like, it's not gonna
yeah.
be like that way. I'm just gonna feel like how I feel now. But you do feel different. Like, you go through that entire day together, and then, like, he's there to support me and make sure it's like I'm having a great day. So you just kind of feel like this is it. Like, this is my partner for the rest of my life. And especially like, we went on a honeymoon, you have that time together. So like you do experience this new chapter together. He's 4 years older than me. So he's
Okay.
like, he wants kids. He wants to be a dad. He wants like that. I think that's like what's next for him.
You're like, wait, not yet.
Yeah, for me, I'm like, I mean, I love it. Like, I love kids. I want to be a mom for sure. But I think I'm just struggling with, like,
You
I'm
just
going
finished
through,
your wedding.
yeah, like,
You're
I'm going through
chilling.
so many things. Like, this is such a
Mm.
different chapter. Like, let me process becoming an adult and, like, before I,
Mm.
like, fully dive into that.
It's interesting you said that because I think the challenge with that would be finding common ground
Yeah.
in situations like that. Because I had a friend that came on, and I was just asking her, like, where do you find space between making decisions for yourself and then making decisions for the relationship, even though it might not align with yourself,
Yeah, I feel like he's very understanding. Like, he is basically like, well, wait. He'll make his feelings known. Like, he's ready whenever, but I don't think that he's in any position where he would like push me for a while. And I wouldn't make him wait for a while. Like, I have to hear him out. Like, I didn't want to do it here, like in someone else's house. So I did want to move out and like, experience having a home together first.
But
And
also, like, raising kids on your own, because there's something there that's, like, you want your help. I'm, like, saying it like I have kids, but
yeah,
you know what I mean?
but
You want your help, and you want that assistance, but you also want to learn how to do it the way you need to do it
you want
for
space,
yourself
your own
and the kids.
space. Yeah. And you want to make
Yeah.
your own decisions and you want to like learn how to do it that way, right? Like our parents did it and it's great to have all the help in the world when you need it. But like, it's different now raising kids in this world. I'm also scared to have kids in this day and age just because of like, there's so many things that like, how do I do this right? Is this right? Am I doing this right? Like there's so many different things, even on with like TikTok or Instagram. I have a lot of mom friends now because his friends are older. So like, I just feel like they're always
You're hearing
judged.
everything.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
getting
like,
all your
yeah.
info.
So I'm like, I'm good. I'll wait. I'll hear it all from
Yeah.
you. But, it's just tough.
I think with even that being said, like, I had a mom on here, and she's like in the holistic world. Her kids are homeschooled. That's like the world that she believed
Yeah.
to be what it is. And like, we just came down to the point, it's just like, you really need to know who you are
Yeah,
at the end of the day
exactly.
yourself.
Yeah.
Because like, I was asking her, I'm like, what's your advice for moms who are like already have kids that are 11 and they already lived the life they did, and they're like on this spiritual journey of trying to like be a little bit more holistic and have these perspectives. And I was asking her, I'm like, what do you do? And she gave me some tips, I would say,
Right.
not for me but for them. But she said, if it's for yourself and you know truly your intuition.
Yeah.
So I guess the question with that would be, how do you connect with yourself, and how do you come back to Logan?
I would just say, like, I used to have a lot of FOMO, like fear of missing out with stuff. So I never used to take time, like, to myself by myself. And I think even now, like, being married, I think it's very important to have, like, your own things and your own independent interests or hobbies.
Independence,
Yeah,
yeah.
like, I like my alone time, and, like, Lou likes his alone time. And, like, I also used to be, like, someone that always needed to be talking to someone, like, on the phone or texting or whatever. Now I'm not, like, I need to be, like, put my phone away, not talking to someone. So, like, when he's gone, usually, even if he's gone for weekends, we don't really talk that much. So I feel like that gives me a second to like focus on myself, whatever that is. Like if it's even small things like cleaning up, if it's going to make me feel better, like sitting in my own space, or like, I don't know, going shopping, like just small things to like put myself first. Cause I find that like at work all the time, I'm putting like clients first or my staff first. Or then sometimes I come home, I'm putting, you know, obviously I'm putting my husband first, but thinking of myself too. Then, you know, like my parents are divorced, so my mom's alone. So I'm always checking in on my mom like all the time. So I just feel like sometimes I need a second to breathe. So there's not a specific like thing that I do, but it's just like having alone time to just like do whatever, shut my brain off. So that way I can be a better person. Like I'll be so bad, like so grumpy, so bitchy if I don't have like a second to reset, you know?
Does it need to be a long reset or just even like 5 minutes to yourself?
Even 5 minutes to myself, like even in the shower sometimes, like even driving, like I drive 35 minutes to work. So like I put on a podcast and I'll listen to a podcast. Like I just really appreciate the time to like, you know, focus on driving while like listening to a podcast. You're not thinking about anything else, right?
Is it more so having whatever thoughts you want to run in your head kind of?
Yeah. Like I
just
think
like thinking, you don't need to think of what you're thinking of and what they're doing. It's just like just let yourself be a machine for a second and then let it.
And I think
run.
like specifically like just things I'm even like worried about or having anxiety about that I know that like it's gonna be okay, but like this is just who I am and I need to like process things this way. Like sometimes like my husband won't, you know, he'll just be like, don't worry about it, it's gonna be fine. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's gonna be fine, but that's not necessarily gonna take it off my mind, you know?
Yeah.
So just to let it run through my head and not be able to like be disconnected from a conversation. Sometimes he's talking to me and I'm like, what did you say? Like I literally am like, what did you just say? Like, and then I'm like, I need a second, you know? So there's just so much going on all the time, especially this time of year. Like this time of year is a busy time of year. So
obviously everything happens for a reason and like, you know, you guys were meant to be together. Do you think that he really is that person for you where he gives you that, or do you find that within yourself to give you that, or does it coexist?
I think it coexists. I think it's both. I think he has really helped me develop the tools to be able to handle my anxiety on my own, like when I'm alone. I think having him with me, like at the time that I met him, I said I wanted to like do some growth and like growing into like why I was so codependent on other people. So I think like he has always been a very independent person. He does not really speak much about his feelings. Like I think in the beginning of our relationship, I was like, you need to talk to me about your feelings. And he's like, you don't really need to talk about your feelings that much, you know? But we found this nice balance like within our relationship that it's like, now the smaller things are like not worth it to me, and now the things that are bigger, like he's able to talk to me about them without me forcing it out of him. So I think when I'm having like a lot of anxiety where I can't do it myself, I do confide in him and he does help me like calm me down with that. But I do have the tools to be able to handle it on my own now, which is nice.
I kind of want to go into like your career a little bit. So you went to school for what exactly?
I went to school for business and I majored in finance.
Is that something you always wanted to do?
Honestly, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like, I didn't know I was going to go to university until, like, the second half of grade 12. Because I was filming the show, right? So, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And then after my experience on the show, I just felt like I needed some sort of stability for myself, and I wanted to make my own decision. To be honest with you, my mom was not happy about it. Like she was like, you need to go to York, go to acting school. Like she's like, you need to pursue this. Like she wanted me to pursue everything, and I was like, no, like I need to move away. I need to experience being like a person for a little bit, because my thought process was back then that I didn't really get a high school experience because I was so involved with like the show and then going on tour, and then I was still competitive dancing at the time, so I was never at school. I never really had school friends. I always kind of had like show friends, dance friends, stuff like that. So I wanted to move away. I wanted to live on my own, and I wanted to experience essentially being like a kid. Yeah.
It's funny that you say that. I do want to get into the next step, but like I danced till grade 11 and then grade 12 came around. So my first high school party was grade 12.
Grade 12.
Halloween, you know what I mean? So like that whole world, I didn't care that much, but when I made the decision not to dance the year after, my thoughts went to, okay, like I'm gonna hang out with people more and do this and that. And like this, I don't want to say sad part about that. It's like I created this concept in my head of what my grade 12 year would look like socially, and it's like I was a very social person. Like I talked to everybody, but like I would go home after school and I wouldn't do anything really. Everyone was either doing homework or working. I was too, but not crazy. But I did have that expectation of like, I'm gonna go out, do this and that. It wasn't like that at all. And then I got into this whole depressive state of being like, what the fuck am I doing? I should have just danced. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, I guess you making that decision, you're happy with exploring that. But like, how was that it for you? Like you went to school and then you got what you thought you were gonna get?
Yes
or just
and no.
You got like a different version of it, I would say.
Like I mean, I didn't dance in grade 11 either. Like I quit and I went back in grade 12 because I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like I felt lost without it. It wasn't more so like competitive dance. Like I competed at university. I was the president of the competitive dance team and stuff like that. I loved it, and that's the part that I miss, like, is dancing and doing all of that. The show, I guess, was the one thing that I needed a different experience from. And I think university, like going to university and just having that independence, like there were times that I missed doing what I did. Like I'm like, was this a mistake? Like should I have just gone and pursued other things? Like I did still go to auditions when I could. Like it wasn't a part of my life, but I think I just needed a break. Like I had been told no so many times, and I had picked myself back up and like gotten on and on and on, and I was just like, I need to go somewhere where I'm not going to be told no. Like I need to like just experience. I think I was just tired of it, and I wouldn't change it. Like I don't think I would be the person today if I went back and but I had a great time at university. I learned a lot about myself. And I wanted to do both. I wanted to be able to have a business degree if I didn't do acting, because the plan was to like pursue it after the 4 years. But then COVID happened, so I didn't really do that. That didn't happen. So I wanted to have a backup plan, which was essentially what it was. And now it's my career. Yeah.
I do want to get into like the whole next step stuff, because it was funny how that even came around for us, because like, were you dancing when you auditioned for it?
Yes, I was dancing at Art and Soul, and Stephanie...
I don't remember. Did you take a break and came back?
I hurt my knee.
Yes, that's what it was.
But that was after I got
the
show. That was I was in grade 8, 2012.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, grade 9 you weren't there. I remember that.
Grade 10 I came back. In grade 11, I left.
Yeah, because I'm a year older, and then that's when we all left,
Yeah.
It was funny. I did one of the auditions, too, and, like, my experience is hilarious, because we went in, like, okay, like, it's a TV show. Like, this is something that's outside of us going to workshops and all that stuff. So we went to the audition. We go out. They call us back in for round 2, and we're all excited. I don't remember if you were there. I don't think you were.
Yeah.
But
I think I was on a different day than you.
Yeah, probably. But, like, the next step of that... no pun intended, was we had to go up to them and speak to them. And we have no knowledge of how to use our voice, our throat chakra, any of that. So I remember walking up, and the room had a window, and there was just a brick wall, white. I remember this, at the long table, and they're all looking at me.
Yes.
Why do you love dance?
Yeah.
I looked, my head went up, and some actors talk about that white room that they get into, and I was like at the door looking at the white room and looking away, but I was just like, I love, like, blah. So stupid. I couldn't say why I love to dance, but I knew why I love to dance. So, like, clearly you knew what to say, because you got the job. So,
honestly, they didn't ask me that. They asked me they paired me with another person, and I had to act. They gave me a scenario. They said, this person is your mom, and she forgot all your
day.
I know. They paired us with people, and they're like, this person is your mom, and she forgot all your dance costumes, and you're at a dance competition. What are you gonna do? Like, go. And I don't know. I can't even remember what I did. I think I was just so bitchy to my mom that they cast me as the bitch on the show.
You know what's funny about that? I'm where I need to be in life. Obviously, you are too. But like, just that little switch of if I was in that room that day, I probably, I don't want to assume, but I probably would have had more of a chance getting on the show than.
Yeah.
Why do you love to dance?
Why do you love dance? No, I didn't get asked that.
Like I think Ariana and Stefania were in the room with a bunch of other people, and we all. It sounded like we're dying, like we were in trouble, and we're trying to explain ourselves what happened and why we drew on the wall or something. Like we sounded like little kids in trouble, which was crazy. But like anyway, so you had that audition, you got in, and then how was that experience?
We had that audition. Yeah, so we went and then we danced.
What was the first? What happened before you got it? Like you have to walk me through this whole like process of like auditioning, receiving that yes, and then the next steps of that.
So, yeah, so we got a call to our studio, whatever. I went, Stephanie made me a solo, all this stuff. I did not want to go, Dan. My mom was like, you have to go. I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't want to do this. Like, I didn't want to do it. I was young. I was 12. Like, we were young. So then I was like, okay, whatever, I'll go. So I went, you walk into the room, you had like numbers that they put on you. I remember I was number 87. And you walk in.
I remember there's an elevator. And then there was
it was at the National Ballet, wasn't it? Wasn't it at the National Ballet?
I don't remember. Maybe you went to
I think it was at the. I think I went to the National Ballet.
Oh, okay.
And then
I don't remember location. I just remember it being like an industrial building, and there was like a black curtain where the door was, and then they had.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, either it's the National Ballet or it's near there.
Oh, okay.
And then we did dancing first, and we had to like freestyle. So we like freestyled, and then you had to do tricks across the floor or something. And I didn't do that because I couldn't do any tricks. So I didn't go. I think I did a jeté or something.
I don't remember that.
They like lined us up over there, and they did like tricks across the floor.
Oh yeah. It's cooking a little bit.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't do any of this, so I guess I'm gonna do like a jeté and a kick. Like I don't know. So then. I think that was pretty much it. Like, we just kind of danced, and then they brought you outside of the room, and then they called you by number. And if they called your number, you, like, went back into the room or something. So then that's when they asked me to do the acting part of it. But there was, like, all of us, and they paired us up with different people, and they...
Who was in your room?
Oh, God. I don't even think anyone... Oh, Brennan. I think Brennan was in my room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, and no, Vic wasn't in my room, but Vic came with me to the audition because she lives in Bolton and I knew her, so her mom was away, so I drove her. And then they asked us to act, all this stuff, and then they honestly just sent us home. Like, we went home. And then that night, Vic was staying at my house because her mom was away, and I remember, do you know who Amy Wright is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Amy Wright called my mom. And she was like, oh, like, they want Logan to come back for, like, a callback tomorrow. And then we were like, okay. And then Vic got the same call. So we're like, okay, we'll go back. Awesome. And then when we got there, there was 12 of us. And Frank, the original creator of the show, started holding up our headshots and telling us who our character names were and that we were filming a pilot. So I was originally cast as Emily. Did you know this?
Honestly... I didn't really watch the show. I only watched the season that I was on because I was like international.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I
didn't
know.
Really watch it, but anyways, I don't.
Emily was like on it the first few seasons, and she was like the main bitch.
Oh yes, is that her real name or that's her?
Her real name is Alexandra Beaton.
Yes. Okay, yes. Sorry. If you said that first, it would have clicked.
Sorry, I'm so used to explaining it to people who don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
So
sorry.
I was originally cast as her. Oh. So that's who I filmed the pilot as. Yeah, so that's who I filmed the pilot as. And then they showed it to all, so it was a year. We did that, I think, in June of like 2012. Yes. And then it got picked up a year later and we had to re-audition. So they showed it to like Family Channel, like Family Channel obviously picked it up, but they showed it to like YTV, all these people. And then that's when it got picked up and they got approved for their first season. So then they had to re-audition people because remember they reached out to all the dance studios to get real dancers. None of us were actor members. So they legally couldn't hire all 12 main cast members with no actor members. They had to have at least 4. So I think Brennan was Actra because I think he had done something. I think Britt was.
Mm.
And then they put Jordan Clark on the show. She was not, like, she wasn't on the pilot, but she was Actra.
Who does she get replaced? Who does she replace?
I don't know.
What was the original cast for the pilot?
I was on it. Vic was on it. Brennan was on it. Britt was on it. Trevor was on it.
Grecki?
Sam was on it.
Yeah.
Do you know Jenna Pod from Elite?
Not really.
I don't even know if that's her last name. Pod. That's probably not her last name. It's like her name. I think her name is Jenna. Remember Jasmine James?
Yes.
She was on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she was
actually.
Sorry, it wasn't Jordan that replaced anyone. It was this girl named Tamina.
Yes.
Do you know Tamina?
The black girl, right?
She replaced Jasmine.
Oh.
Yes.
I would have been so cheesed, but anyways.
I know. And, like, at the time, Jasmine was, like, the shit. Like, do you remember that?
Yeah.
So, again, like, Tamina was Actra. She had worked before. Alexandra Beaton replaced me. She had worked before. Like, she was an Actra member.
So you were booted off for a second.
They called me and they told me when I was like 13 years old, and I don't even think I was 13 yet because they called me like before June, and I was devastated, but they told me that I was either going to come back as a character Giselle or a character Amanda, and the character who was Giselle was Jordan. So Jordan didn't replace anyone, they created a character for Jordan.
Oh, okay. It was the time frame of being like, you're not on it to you're Amanda.
Well, when the creator called me originally, he told me that I wasn't going to be Emily, but he was creating a separate part for me. Okay. But I just didn't know like how small or how big or what that part was ever going to lead to. Like I just kind of trusted him. When I got the scripts and like I found out that it was kind of only like a few episodes, like obviously I was devastated because like now I have to watch all these people that I filmed this original pilot with who are also my friends go and do this, right? So that was a lot, but I worked my ass off, to be honest with you. Like I had surgery that year and like I worked my ass off to train with I trained with CDC because their whole like Alan's whole company was elite. So I was like, okay. So then I went to go train and like learn with them and stuff. So that taught me different things. And then I don't remember when I found out that I was like officially going to be like in a full character in season 2. But I know that when I came back to film that week in season 1, like Frank, the creator, was like, I have plans for you. And I was just like, okay.
What are they?
Yeah,
when
like
are they happening?
Like I was you're so young. Your mom, I didn't have an agent. I didn't have a manager. My mom was like, okay. Like my mom didn't know what to ask. Yeah. Like I just kind of literally just put my faith in like my heart in these other people's hands essentially. Cause as a kid, like you don't care about money. You don't care about all that. You just want to be like
the star. You want to get
you want to be, you want that chance. Right. And then it happened for season 2. Like I did get that part. I filmed all summer with them. Like I was on it full time. And then it kept going for season 3 and stuff. But there was just a lot of shit, Dan. Like it was just a lot of shit. Like if there was, like
a lot of shit. It was shit.
Like it was just a lot to deal with at a young age, you know? So
how long was the time frame between recording that last pilot episode to you recording that first season 2 episode?
The first season 2 episode?
Like that, like you did your pilot, said we have a different character. From that moment of finishing filming to starting again, how long was that time frame for you?
Well, I filmed a few episodes a year after the pilot in season 1, and then 8 months later, I started full time in like July.
So that 8 months was kind of like
I was like, lingering, like whatever. So I went back. Yeah, so that's when I went back to dance in grade 10. Like, I tried to work my ass off. And
so you only went back just to get the training? Because you wanted to dance?
Both. I wanted to get better, though. Like, the reason why I was never that great. Like, honestly, like, I was good when I was older, but when I was younger, I was never that great. I had to work hard. Wasn't naturally good. So I just wanted to be, you surround yourself. You go on a show. You're surrounded by all these other dancers from other studios.
And also, to cut you off, you're getting recorded and you're going to see it for a million years.
Yeah, and, like, I didn't like... Honestly, there were some things, like, I didn't like the way that I looked in certain seasons. But, like, after season 2, like, when I was training and, like, all that stuff, like, you can see season 3, season 4, like, even I feel better about it. Like, what's on there. You know what I mean?
A little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, I was talking about that yesterday. You know, we had an interesting experience when we went to Mayfield, but like when I had a change of scenery that year and like seeing new people, then I was dancing more so during the day. Like I remember grade 8 or grade 9, my dancing was so different. Like I went to the first competition in grade 9 and my dance teachers were like they didn't, like I was dancing full out in the studio, but there was just something else that came out of me when I did that first Hall of Fame dance in Niagara, and they were just like, they were like surprised, they were happy, but they were surprised with like what's going on. And like I think just having that experience really helps you grow into something new.
Yeah.
You know? There wasn't a focus on me wanting to be better. I just had that like experience of like meeting new people. Like I started dating Felicia. Like I was just in this whole new world, and then it brought out something different out of me. So like, that was, I guess for the show, that would have been it for you, no?
Yeah, for sure. Like being around, seeing all these other people like motivated and like all these things that they could do, I was just like, I want to do this for myself. And you know, like dance is really expensive. So like when I was on the show and like making money, like I was contributing to my training fees. And like obviously at that time, like it was important for me to train and like be doing something, like focus on something that I love. Like I had to appreciate, like I got something.
Grow up a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, like I did. It's funny you say that because my roommate, she was actually my maid of honor. Like she says that all the time. Like she's kind of the only other person besides like my husband that I've kind of explained like and has asked me like, why did you leave this and go to university and stuff like that?
Now I'm the third.
And now you're the third. And she's like, Logan, it's because you've been an adult since such a young age. You just wanted to be like a kid. And it's true. Like you had to look out. You're making all this money at such a young age. Like it's just, you know, you have to essentially look out for yourself in an industry like that. I'm sure you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so interesting you said that too, because I'm different, obviously, and like maybe the experience, if I got it, it would have been different, but I would have still been tagged onto that world, so to speak. Like, that's why I wanted to ask you too, like, you already explained it, obviously, but if we get in more depth about that, like, how much of a struggle was it for you to say no to that and like do something that's a 9 to 5, because it's like that's total polar opposites?
Honestly, it's not hard. It wasn't hard to make the decision because it's not like I had something lined up that like I was saying no to, right? Like when season 4 was filmed, Dan, I thought that I was going to be season 5, season 6, season 7. Like I thought this was going to go on. I didn't really have a plan to go to university. That's why I'm saying, because I filmed the 4th season until December of grade 12. After that 4th season happened, the show got a change of management. The show got bought by somebody else, and they essentially told me that, like, we're going in a different direction.
We're not interested.
Yeah, like, I had filmed, I had filmed a whole separate ending to season 4. Like, it was supposed to be, like, completely
really?
Yes. What was aired was not what I had filmed.
Just that ending episode?
Just the ending episode was changed.
Okay.
So the
the
very last scene was supposed to be like, because I get like kicked off and me and Brittany get into this whole big fight, like whatever. But there's this supposed to end with like me like becoming a bitch again, like scheming, so that way whatever. And they changed it because the ownership changed. Like they went with a completely different direction of the show. So when I was told that, Dan, I think I was just done. I'm done being told, like, I'm done. I've worked my ass. Like, I just felt like I worked so hard.
Like, you're done being directed by somebody else, kind of?
Yeah, I was just like, I'm done for right now being told no. Like, I'm done being rejected by that right now. And not really having a reason behind it. Like, it's not that you're not good enough. It's not that you're not pretty enough. It's not that you're not this enough. It's not that, you know, there's no reason. It's just like, it's what the industry is, and it's fine. But just going through it as young as I did, I think I was just done. I'm done. I need to get away.
You just said, like, it's not this or that. How long did it take you to come to that place of understanding?
A long time.
Yeah, right? Because I was thinking, like, especially, like, in grade 12, like, you leave that space and then you go into another space with all these people your age and they're planning for their future. I bet it was, like, tenfold all the feelings that you were getting.
Oh, yeah, and then it's hard even after. It gets harder after because you see the people that you were working with, still some of them working on the same show and still doing that, and you're in a different space. So, saw everybody recently, and it was just nice, like, to get closure on like that chapter of my life. Honestly, I was nervous about it because, like you say, like, you're like, hey, like, I work, you know, it's just,
At a bank.
yeah, you know, like, I'm not embarrassed of it. Like, I'm proud of, like, what I do and who I am. But, like, it's just...
You're just aware of that, like, difference.
I am.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit weird when, like, you used to be in that space and, like, you know, you're kind of not so involved in that space anymore, but then you're surrounded by it for, like, a whole entire day. Everyone was there except for Lamar. He's doing, he's doing great things, so.
He's busy.
And
then you have people like that where they're calling them and he's like, sorry.
I'm in X-Men. Sorry, schedule. I can't.
Oh my God. Oh, is he actually?
He was. And he was in like a bunch of movies. So it's just like, you know, having those conversations with them, like, it's a little bit different, but it was nice. It was nice.
With you saying you getting closure, it really just depends on where you're at in life. Because, you know, you just got married, you found your person, you're like living this life. Probably if you weren't in that stage and you went back, you would have been in that limbo of like, oh, like it's not really so much closure. It's just like another reminder that like I didn't do this, you know? So I think it just goes back to being like everything happens for a reason and like,
yeah, for sure.
Just going with the flow, you know?
I definitely agree because I think I don't know if I would have been so inclined to like go and like jump into that atmosphere again if I wasn't at the stage that I was at like in my life with like getting married and like I'm content, I'm happy with like what I'm doing, right? So there would have been a time where like it would have made me feel a different way, for sure.
It's interesting you brought up that experience of like just how kind of the entertainment industry works, of being like, you know, you recorded this full pilot, this and that, and then direction you're going and gets totally thrown off and you got the chance to go on, thank God, but like it probably wouldn't have happened. And like I'm reflective of myself and just hearing that makes sense to me because like I've always wanted to be in the entertainment industry, not so much like what you did, but like just that vibe. But that's what happens, you know, you get called for an audition, they love you, this and that, and they give you all this fluff sometimes, and then like you don't hear from them for months. And then it's done. So like thank God you said that because I kind of needed to hear that because like I'm more developed than I've ever been in my life, but like I'm still learning, so like that's gonna still kill me. And like me thinking of wanting to do that in grade 10, I would have been like so.
I know it's hard, and like
it would have been more angered than sad.
Yeah, like when I was leaving, like I wasn't sad. Like when I made the decision, when they told me I wasn't on the show anymore, like when that season 4 switch happened, that's why I say I was done because I had no more emotion left in me to be sad about it. Like that's why I felt like an adult at that point because I'm like, I'm switching because I need to focus on me and I need to be happy. So this is what I want to experience, new things. I still want to like, you know, give myself the opportunity to grow. So like, how am I going to be able to do that? That's not in this situation. And how am I still going to be able to do what I love, which was dancing, and not resent it? Like it was starting to make me like resent. Yeah, like what I was dancing for. And like when we were training together, you're not told in a room like Dan is better than Logan or Logan is better than Dan. Like essentially you all learn from each other. Like yeah, you can do something I can't do, I can do something you can't do, but it's not told to you in a way where it's like, do you understand what I'm saying? It's just teaching. It's not like you're not, but when you're on set and you're being told like, oh, you have to stand here because he's better than you and blah 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 blah, like as a kid, like it's tough. Yeah, it's tough.
Oh my God.
You're like, okay, like, what are you supposed to say to that? Like, you know what I mean?
Did you ever speak of, like, stuff like that between your peers on the show?
For sure. I mean, like, certain things.
Because you don't want to be like, oh, why didn't they choose me? Was there any open dialogue between you guys? Like, you know, you said Vic lived around the corner from you. You guys were kind of close up.
Yeah.
Like, was that a conversation ever, or you kind of just were young and processing still?
And I was definitely young and processing. It was more so like between my mom and stuff. Like I would say I didn't want to seem like I was ungrateful because that was like a big thing as well. Like none of us knew what we were doing. We didn't know how kids were supposed to be treated on set. None of us knew how this was supposed to go. We didn't know that we were the ones essentially calling the shots.
Everything
like we didn't know what was going on. There were some things that happened in season 4 where like I was supposed to be in a dance, in a scene, but then I wasn't supposed to be, and then I was supposed to be, and then I wasn't. So they were calling me to rehearsals, rehearsing it with me in it, then rehearsing it without me in it, then rehearsing it with me in it. And I was like, this is torture to a 16-year-old girl. I said, this is so brutal. Like, am I in the final dance with...
Yeah, it's
No,
crazy.
but like, you know what I mean? It's nuts. Like, am I in the dance with all of my friends or am I not in the dance with all my friends? Like, what is the scene? So that was the only time I said something. I called my director aside and I said, you can't do this. Like, am I in the scene or am I not in the scene? Like, it started to make me feel like, you know, I wasn't a good enough dancer, or why wasn't I in certain, you know, stuff like that.
What was his
So,
response to that? Was it
I mean,
like,
he apologized. Like, he said, like, I'm
what did,
sorry.
do you
Like, you
remember
know,
what you said specifically? Was it literally those words?
I just think I pulled him aside and I was respectful. Like I said, can I please speak to you? I said, like,
That's
I
good for you though
understand that.
that you like took
Yeah, like I was
initiation
respectful.
yourself.
It was more so like the way that like I think other people were handling it too, like other like choreographers and stuff, like just the way like, oh, like you're not in the, like I don't know, it was just like disrespectful and I was like trying to understand like what was going on.
Mm.
And he was nice about it. Like he apologized. Like he said, I'm gonna have like the script's gonna be done. I'm gonna write it today. I'll tell you everything by the end of the day. Me and you will talk directly. Like he said, like he was gonna talk to the other people that were handling it incorrectly. So he did handle it very well. But yeah, it was honestly just looking back, silly stuff like that now. But at the time, it just meant so much to me being like that age and being on like a show with so many other people that were so good, right?
Yeah, but it's interesting. Creative people, I would say, as we are, it's a different world versus someone that's in business and doing by the book. And like any decision they were making for what you were going through, it tossed you around completely. But it was just like for them on that end, it was just like pointing on a piece of paper. Oh, maybe we'll do this. It was just very two different worlds. So like,
yeah, you're just kind of like you feel disposable, and like
yeah.
I just didn't want to feel disposable anymore. Like I just wanted to go and experience life in like a different from a different lens for a little bit.
Do you think you could get back into it? And well, obviously, like reflecting now, like any situation you get into, it's going to be different. There's going to be some similarities, but when you look at it now, do you think you can jump back into the space and be like, I know how to handle it now, or is it kind of just like off radar for you?
No, I would definitely like I could definitely go back into the space. I don't know if I would ever go back into like acting specifically, but like definitely like yeah, like entertainment stuff like that, like get more involved in like, you know, social media things and like just entrepreneurship that way, like would be really cool. Focus more time and energy on that. The only thing that like I don't like about my current job now is that like I don't feel like I get to use my creative side as much. So that's why I think planning the wedding for the last year has really allowed me to like, yeah, it's been really fulfilling. So I'm like in this space of like, okay, how do I, you know, fulfill my creative side, but still maintain like a steady income for now, because like I just don't know if I'm ready to take the leap like fully of like quitting my regular job.
How long have you been in that job for? You like been at the bank, I would say.
4 years.
Does it feel like it's been like 20 for you?
Yeah, it's actually ridiculous. Oh.
Yeah,
I'm client facing, so it's just
Sorry?
a lot. I'm client facing, so it's just a lot. Like I'm in a branch. Like
Oh,
I work
like
in a
you-
branch. Like I'm a manager at a branch. So
Yeah.
whenever people want to talk to me, it's usually because they're upset. So I'm just like,
I
hey.
get it. No, I
Yeah.
totally
So
get
it's
it.
draining, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't go to a bank, obviously, but like I worked in retail. I did all that stuff, so like dealing with people. As much as I love people at the same time,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah,
like,
it's just
you know,
like, you know, it's a lot. You come home, you're tired, right?
not even tired,
So,
drained, like full
yeah.
on drained. Your feet hurt because you're
Exhausted.
standing all day and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
But I think getting into like that whole influencer thing, I want to like ask you, what was your experience when like you started getting the accolade of being on the show and the fame? I would say, well, I don't want to do this because we were famous at one point. You know what I mean? Like, everyone loved the show. I don't want to take away from that.
Now I'm washed up, but people still do love it.
Yeah, but like just like when you started getting that recognition, what was that for you? And like what did you take from that and what did you leap from that at this point?
It was really nice. Like it was really nice to like have people look up to you and like come up to you and like ask like for a picture, autograph, whatever. I'd like tell you that like, you know, like I watched you on TV. Now it's nice because I get older people coming up to me that recognize me and they'll tell me like, you were my entire childhood. Like I loved you. Yeah. Like it's sweet. Like it's really sweet. Like it took a long time for me to realize, I mean, even now, like it's hard for me to see the big deal in it because, you know, I was the one, it wasn't so big for me, but it was a big deal to a lot of people and it did touch a lot of people. So it was always nice. Like, I never ever told people, like, I never shied away from a picture. I never did anything. I mean, some people would come up to me when I was naked in the change room, and I'm like, okay, maybe wait until I'm dressed.
Not right now.
But
put your phone away.
yeah. So, but other than, like, you know, it was so nice to, like, just know that people, like, look up to you. And, like, also, you always have your own insecurities, and, like, you always will. And obviously from that age I did. So, like, hearing people, like, say such nice things about you and, like, really love everything that you do is just nice.
It puts it to the side, or kind of disappears.
Yeah, like, it just makes you feel like, oh, like, this is nice that, like, someone else is taking the time to, like, you know, say something like this.
When you started receiving the following that you did, what was that experience for you? Like, seeing that and realizing the reach and, like, the eyes that are on you.
Mixed emotions. I mean, I don't think it happened all at once. Like, it was kind of gradual for me because I wasn't on the show, like, the first season right away. So I did get it, like, slowly. There were some times where I was annoyed with it because I'm somewhat of a private person, and, like, I wish sometimes I just didn't have, like, 180 whatever thousand people, like, looking at everything I do. But there's other times where it's, like, great. Like, I love, like, being able to share, like, my experiences and, like, things that I believe in and stuff like that. I'm at the stage right now where, like, I try and be careful what I post. It's more so just, like, what I like.
You don't get canceled.
Yeah, like, there was, you know, a few times where it was risky. So I was like, you know.
Oh, like with, like, outfits and stuff?
Like, with the show, we couldn't even have, like, a red Solo cup in our hand or something,
remember.
You know?
Yeah.
Or, like, when I went to...
anything.
Yeah, like, with anything like that, right? So it was just, like, it was tricky, like, having to, like, you know, monitor even stuff that was, like, posted of me and stuff. I didn't want to feel like my friends, like, I was a burden on my friends, so I really tried to, like, not do that.
Could your friends have the Solo cups, just not you, or just nothing at all?
It really, like, I don't remember specifically what the details were, but it really was frowned upon to see me in any photo with, like, Solo cups or, like, stuff like that, right? So, like, if I was tagged in it, sure, like, I guess it was fine, but this was at the time when Instagram was, like, just coming out. The show was coming out, so you couldn't, like, it wasn't, like, that serious. It was more like Twitter and stuff. Like, I remember I remember we were all not on the show before, so we all had to, like, go through our Twitter and delete a lot of tweets. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, it was, like, different to get used to. Now I'm just so used to it because, like, it's all I have, like, you know? But I'm an adult now, like, I post with a glass of wine, I don't care.
Yeah, well,
like, I'm of
exactly,
age, you know?
and you're not on the show, so it doesn't even...
Yeah, so...
It's funny you said that you had to, like, go through everything, because I don't think I would have been able to do that.
Yeah, like, I think because, you know, you post stuff and, like, you don't think it sounds wrong, but then, like, it could come across wrong. And obviously these social media people go, like, they see your social, like, they follow you and all this stuff. So
how draining was that to, like, be so reflective on your actions, so to speak?
Kind of draining.
Another reason why you didn't want to get into it?
Not even. I just think that, like, when you tell, like, 15-year-olds and 14-year-olds no, like, they want to do it even more. So when you put them in a space where you're kind of, like, controlled, like, this environment, right? And, like, no, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't live your life like this. But then you're also surrounded, you're going to school normally, and you're surrounded by all these people that are doing all of these things. Like, you know what I mean? It's tough to adjust to that. So it's like you almost want to, like, rebel in a sense. And maybe, like, that's also part of the reason why I kind of went to university. I'm like, you know, I want to party. I want to experience, like, meeting new people. Like, I want to have fun. Like, that's what I want to do, you know?
I've always been at home. I never actually moved away and did stuff, so I never actually had that, like, kind of lifestyle. In a way, it's... Not that I'm glad I did or didn't. It's just, like, I realize now I didn't need it in the first place. Obviously, the older you get and stuff. So, like... With that even being said, has there been a lot of things that you haven't gone through where you said, oh, I actually didn't do this growing up, but I actually realize now it's not that serious. I didn't need to.
Growing up, no. Like, I mean, it's not a big deal. Like, I'm happy, looking back now, I'm happy that I was always in dance so I didn't get myself into trouble. Like, you know what I mean? So, like... But knowing me, I probably would have gotten myself into trouble. The one thing that I do have, like, just now is, like, you know, that creative space. Like, I'm trying to start, like, how do I get back into fulfilling the creative side of me? Because, like, in university, I had dance, right? And then, like, I was also teaching. And then, like, kind of COVID happened. And I just got a job and, like, met my husband and just kind of, like, focused on that for a little bit. And now I'm like, okay, how can I bring creativity back into my, like, everyday life to fulfill that side of it?
So you finished
So it's
school
kind of
right before COVID.
during COVID, like March 2020.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Were you
Like
working at all?
I worked on like a farm.
Oh, okay.
You know Rock Garden Farms?
No.
It's my ex's
Oh.
actually. It's in it's in Caledon, like
Oh,
Caledon
no, I never
East.
heard of it.
Yeah, it's like a farm, like fresh foods farm. It's good. I was just working there because I needed a job. Like I couldn't do
Yeah.
anything. And then I had a degree and my mom worked at the bank, so I was like, "Can you get me a job?" And then I got an interview, so.
It's interesting you say the whole creative side to it, because I think when you're in a world, for us it was dance, and that's what creative outlets were, you get so accustomed to that. And like, I'm a creative person, but like I'm the type of person that can get my creativity out of one area and put it towards a million things. You know,
Yeah.
obviously you can tell my Instagram and just the way I present myself.
Yeah.
I'm that person. And so I haven't found an issue with taking myself out of dance and finding that creativity. Do you think the creativity you're trying to look for is still through dance, or it's just that notion of being creative and finding that outlet for it?
I think I'm definitely relating it to dance because I feel like that's like kind of all that I know. And to be honest with you, like I do work for Can Dance, so like I am still a part of like that world.
You get a lot
and
of
like
selfies there with the kids still?
Yes, so much. And now they're like asking me to host and stuff. So I'm like,
That's
wait,
fun.
wait. Yeah, it's fun. I did it once last year in Halifax and it was so much fun. So
I want to
hopefully,
do that.
yeah, it was fun. It
Yeah.
was fun. It's stressful, but it's fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But it'll be good. So hopefully they get me doing some of that this year. And like, I feel like that's lots of fun. But like just watching the dancers on stage, I'm like, oh my God, I miss it. I feel so old. Like, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I think there's something out there that could give me the same like release. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like creativity, like fulfillment. So I just have to figure out what it is. I'm kind of like on that pathway now.
Do you think it's more so you doing it physically yourself or in a leadership role? I mean, with leadership, you still have to lead by example, obviously.
Yeah,
but,
like either way.
like
Right
the
now, like
between
I'm.
being a dance teacher and a student, basically, or
Yeah,
a performer, like dancing on the stage. Like,
No,
which
I think
side
I
do you
would
find
definitely
yourself?
prefer to teach. I don't even know if I
Okay.
could get in the splits now and then.
I was never able to, so don't worry about that.
But like, yeah, even just like moving my body more, like just having a space where I can just like do a full stretch, like, you know, just doing that for myself.
It's funny because I find these little nuances, like a lot is coming to my brain right now, but like with the stretching stuff, I never liked stretching because it was always like I need to be flexible. I find
Yeah.
myself being like, oh, if my back's killing me, I'll do a full like dance stretch. Like I don't
Yeah.
pop in the splits, but like I'll do a lot of the stretches that I would teach the kids or learned, and like I feel so much better, like so much
Yeah.
better, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'm going off on a tangent a little bit, but like as I watch each episode of this podcast, I'm like listening to myself and I'm
Yeah.
hearing how I'm speaking and how I'm trying to say certain things. And like the first thing I thought about was how bad I was in English. Because every time in English class, like I would always get C's, and I'm like, fuck, I'm like working hard at it. And literally
Yeah.
what they kept saying to me was like, you're not explaining yourself.
Like-
It's like when you're talking with someone and then you're trying to
Yeah.
explain something, you say, you know what I mean, and they say, yeah, I know what I mean, and you don't have to say
Yeah.
that. I was doing that in my writing.
In your writing.
So my revelation with that was like, damn, like I noticed sometimes when I would speak to people, I wouldn't get to the point. The point
Right,
was
right.
so clear to me and them, but I wouldn't say it.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? So
Right.
I don't know why I'm saying this right now, but like that's just like little
No,
things
but it
that I'm
makes
thinking
sense.
of as I get up and grow older. I'm like, oh, so I've worked a little bit harder. Maybe this would have been less stressful for me.
Yeah, like maybe if I just figured it out a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. But
But
even
you
like
figure it out as you get older, like you realize these things. And it's just like, that's been a weird process for me too, is like growing up. I don't know, sometimes I have these feelings. I'm like, am I actually married? Am I actually buying a house? Like, am I actually doing these things? Like, is this for real? Like, I'm not a kid anymore. Like, I'm actually an adult.
I think that whether you believe it or not, I think it just goes back to like that whole Gemini thing, because I think in our heads we really do create outcomes regardless if we want to or not. Like I always tell
Yeah.
people, like it's not even I try, it just comes to me so naturally, and like trying to shut that off is just a whole nother ball game. But like you know, maybe in the process of like getting engaged, getting married, like you subconsciously created something and then now you're living it, and it's
Yeah.
still great most likely, but it's just like you're comparing the two, what I'm
Yes.
living through versus what I thought. And
Yeah,
then you're
because you
like,
kind of
is
you
this
think
better,
it's,
is this not,
yeah,
know?
you think it's gonna be like, or you just think all these things are gonna happen, right? Like you want them to happen, and then they happen, and you're like, I can't believe
Not the
this is
way that you
happening.
thought.
Yeah, you're just like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, I don't know. Like, I just sometimes feel like in a trance. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't
It's always
even,
a trance.
don't
Yeah.
tell me that.
No, but like it is. Like that's my experience at least. But
Yeah.
there's so much. I was talking about this earlier. There's so much fulfillment in not having that cage on you. But when you let your energy fly and go free, it's like you need to have some sort of grip of like when to stop and when to like halt what you're doing, so to speak, or make that decision. I'm going to be mad at this person today. I shouldn't be mad at this person today. It's like we want to be free spirited and we want to do our thing, but like I've respected more so the process of being like, okay, this is not meant for me now. I can't
Yeah.
do this. It's not like I
Yeah.
won't be able to do it, but like the universe or God is telling me, no, like this is not it for you right now. And then
Yeah.
like I'll get stuck in that sense of like my ego's like, I'm going to make this work, and then I make it work, but it's not working.
Yeah.
You know?
I know what you
So,
mean. I know what you
what's
mean.
your experience been with spirituality in that sense?
I do believe that everything happens for a reason. Like, I try and believe hard into that. Bringing back to, like, the control thing. Like, it's hard for me not to have control over things, but believing in, like, there's always a plan for everything, really kind of, like, calms me over that. I've tried to, like, make it more known in my life that, like, everything happens for a reason. So, like, not to, like, freak out about, like, the unknown or, like, something that hasn't happened yet. Do you know what I mean? So, like, if that doesn't happen, or if it does happen, like, it's happening for a specific reason. So, like, I have to tell myself, like, don't worry. Why are we worrying about it now? Like, do you know what I mean? I'm such like a forward looking person, and I'm always thinking about like, okay, how can we do this? Or what if this doesn't happen? Or what if we go this way, and things like that. And I think that's why I always have to come to a decision to get that out of my head. I do strongly believe like, there's always whatever happens is going to happen, and it does happen for a very strong reason. But I have a hard time getting to that point. Like, I'm always stressed about something. You know what I mean?
I think a lot of people, when I ask that question, what's spirituality to you, it's like everything happens for a reason. I think more so the question I'm asking or looking for is like, well, what do you turn to get to that place? What are the things that you believe in that get you to the point of being like, Logan, you're okay, you're fine.
I mean,
this is okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, I grew up Catholic, so like religion is like there for me. Like, I don't go to church, I don't practice it. There are times where like, I'll say a prayer, but like, am I praying to like the Catholic God? I don't necessarily know. I believe in like a higher power. I believe people that have passed, like my grandmother, I believe she watches down on me. I believe I believe in that, like those things. So it's like a mix for me. Like, I do believe in some of the Catholic traditions, but I do also believe people are watching down on me. I believe in like a little bit of reincarnation. Like, I have like, deja vu things where like I've been here before, I've done this before, but in a different time. Asking me what brings me back to me, like, I don't know. That's a tough question in terms of spirituality. I don't really know if I've determined what it is that I'm speaking to, but like, I know that there's something that is there that's like watching over me. But I do find peace in like whenever I think of like, I hope like I'm praying to something, I'm always speaking to like my grandmother who's like passed. I believe that like she's watching over me.
Yeah.
So maybe that's my like pathway to it, but like I can't really explain like what would bring me peace in that sense, because I feel like it's still a gray area for me. Like, I'm still trying to find it, maybe like exactly what it is.
Yeah. No, that's totally valid. And I think it's hard because we're not taught that in this life to like, we are, but like it comes down to like the internet getting so big that you come across it on a YouTube page, you come across it on the internet to be like, oh, like this is a concept that like we're not taught, and there's something in you, like there's truth to this. But then it's like, what kind of filter am I looking at it through?
Yeah.
I'm Catholic too. Again, I don't do those things, and like I my mom got into it and then she doesn't, and she like dabbles between both, but it's just like, what filter was I given to look through that? What is it not giving me? What am I, if I take the filter off, what am I seeing? And then like, if you don't have that wisdom and knowledge to understand what you're seeing and feeling, because energies are a real thing,
Yeah.
that's why astrology is a thing, because like certain planets and certain little things, asteroids and stuff, it's all energy and they pull out things in us. That's why they say, you know, if you go to an astrologer, you look at your chart, you can, if your Jupiter's in like your 6th house, or Mercury's in this house, like it's not like that's set in stone, but like there's truth to it.
Yeah,
there's
for sure.
nuances in it.
For
me, I've been on the journey of like, again, the astrology. I like go to Reiki, I have my level 1. Like I am in that world, and like I've been able to take a filter off that I didn't know I had.
Right.
And then look at things and like I feel things. You say you speak to your grandmother. Like there's been moments where I'm going to bed and I literally feel my grandfather.
Yeah.
Like I can picture it in my head and he's there, and then like I've been in that world, so like I don't even say that's what I try turning to, but like experience it has been so fulfilling, because like it gives me that piece of being like the now.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm focusing on something else, but I'm sitting here experiencing whatever I'm experiencing, but it's just pulling me back to like going back to my intuition.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Like, for you, what's coming back into your intuition like?
Yeah, like
how do you get to there?
I believe, like I was just gonna say, like I have very strong intuition. Like every time, like I really believe in gut feelings. I really believe, like when I have a sense about something, like I don't know if this is a correct terminology, but like a sixth sense. Like I feel like I can tap into like things just
consciousness.
Yeah, like that consciousness of like, okay, like this is gonna happen, or like I just have these feelings. So I highly believe in like intuition and that stuff, and I try and lean into that in myself. But there's always like that sense of doubt, right? Like where is this coming from? Like how am I getting this? Like things like that, right? But I kind of just trust myself. Like it's happened like over the years, whereas like more and more, like if I feel like this is the right thing to do, or I feel like this decision is the right one to make, then I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go with that feeling. Like I have to trust it. So whether I can't like see that feeling or I can't understand it, I kind of just trust with my gut.
Yeah. I've had a lot of moments where I've lost trust and I'll feel things, but then I'm questioning if it's a gut feeling or like an anxiety.
An anxiety, yeah.
Making me feel like you said, you know, if I feel like this, well, sometimes anxiety makes you feel a certain way. So it's like maybe what you're receiving with that anxiety is not what's happening, but it's redirecting you. But like I'll take moments like that and I'm just like, oh my God, like what's going on here?
I know.
Why am I feeling this way? Why is it getting to this point? Why it makes so much sense, but it's not. And then like I get lost in my whole Gemini side. So I'm just like, what? And then I'm just blank. I'm like, there's no brain
with
here.
anxiety, it's bad though. I find with me, because like I don't. As soon as I get the feeling in my stomach, like I'm like, why is this happening to me? Why do I feel this? Like why? What is going on? Like, and then I'm freaking out, and almost to the point where I make it worse. Like then I'm like shaking, and I'm like, why is this like? You don't think you're anxious about anything, and then all of a sudden you just get this feeling, right? And it's been happening. It's been happening to me more like recently, and I've just been like, I don't know why it's happening. You know, you can't point your finger on it.
Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, I think what helped me in that sense, I still get like that. Like I'll feel certain things. I'm like, ah. I get to a place now. I'm like, where's this coming from? And I immediately go to outside sources, being like, is this like, you know, because like energy is so strong. Like sometimes when someone has a bad day, you can feel it next to you.
Yeah, that's true.
And it depends on who you are as a person. I'm like an empath in that sense, where like I just absorb every single thing around me. So I'll literally go on a walk and I'll feel like someone walking by me, and I feel this like I'll feel like the feelings that they're feeling, and then my brain, I don't want to say calculate it, but it translates it to my own life, and then like I'm like, wait, this is not me. I pick up something. Yeah. So I think it just having that knowledge that I've obviously was given to me, but like I really tapped into, is really helpful, being like, oh, it's not me. Yeah. Just the part with that being said, who I am, I want to fix it. Yeah. So once I feel something and I'm like, oh, it's my mom's having a bad day. Like, I'm like, oh, I want to go up to her and fix her, but it's just like, I don't need to do that. Yeah,
like it's not your responsibility, right? Like you can't take it on as something that's yours, right? But that's always how I am. And it's hard to fix. It's hard to be the one that's like, okay, that like step back and let that person figure it out when you're so consciously worried about them. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's hard to fix. I think it's hard to live. Because it's not going to be changed. I think having that empathy for people is a beautiful thing. You don't want to turn it off, because then you just become something else differently. It's just channeling it in the way that's going to work for you, you know?
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It's not going to, like, overpower.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, me bringing up conversations like that, like, I'm just going to use you for example. Like, I'm so happy we talked about what you went through with your schooling and, you know, just what, like, marriage and everything. It's just, like, when I start talking about these conversations with people, I can see in them that they want to talk about it, but there's no opportunity to, in a way. Like, you don't go out with your girls and have a drink and you're like, yeah, I felt my grandma today, like, I had a trauma thing. You know what I mean? It's, like, I don't do that either, but, like, I can tap into it and, like, I'm okay to have that conversation. But, like, I can sense when I start talking about it, they're interested and, like, you got right into it. I think for a second for you, you were like, okay, like, I don't talk about this, but, like, you jumped into it, you know? And, like, that's another reason why I started this. I'm just like, there's got to be more conversation of that. There doesn't have to be, but, like, it's giving people the awareness that everyone has something that they can feel and experience, you know?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Do you have any friends that are, like, on that wave, kind of?
Not really. Like, I would say if anyone's, like, talks about, like, signs the most, it would be me. Like, when people act a certain way, like, I know a little bit about other signs and, like, just based on experiences, like, you know, searching things up and seeing how things act and who I connect with and stuff like that. I'm always on this, like, what's your sign? Like, who are you? Like, it just tells me a little bit about them and in my perspective, but I'm always the one that's, like, the most interested. Like, if we're meeting anyone in the group that, like, is interested in astrology, like, I'm always the one picking their brain because I just think it's a makeup of, like, who we are. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just interesting to, like, learn more about myself.
Yeah. It's in our DNA.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it is who we are. And, like, going back to what you said about, like, learning it and, like, getting into it, it's the more you get into it, the more you learn because, yeah, you were probably aware of the rising sign, but you probably weren't aware of what it actually means for you.
Yeah.
You know? Like, me and you speaking right now, I'm projecting Leo, you're projecting Libra.
Yeah.
We're both Geminis, but, like, that's how we're projecting to each other.
Yeah,
and then obviously you go into it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like having that knowledge. Like, I think the best advice I could give to people who are trying to get into it is just ask for the wisdom of what you're trying to do and who you are as a person, because you'll get that. You know, like, hopefully this conversation, what I just said, sparks interest in you going to search it up. Because, like, you know, like, angel numbers are a big thing, but, like, you have to dig deeper because it's a slippery slope in a way. Because when you go see those angel numbers, it's like, it's just all positivity, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong,
The opposite of light is darkness. The opposite of positivity is negative. You need to have that. So, like, there's 1 to 9, and then they all mean different things, but, like, the way that it's presented is not what whoever is above us, whatever that may be, wants us to have.
Right,
you know,
right.
Like, my best example of that is, like, when you go to the casino. What's the number you see everywhere? 777.
777, okay. I'm like
7 is the worst number. But why is it given to us as this is luck? It's not luck.
Oh, it's because what they're doing, like the act of gambling,
it's psychological. Is bad. It's like, it's not that it's bad, but 7 is a number of, like, going within.
Okay.
Intuition.
Okay.
So when you see 777, yeah, there could be some nuances. Like, if you go within, you get the luck, but, like, you're looking for the luck outside of you.
Right.
It takes you away from you, and it's like little things like that are maybe so stupid to people and stuff, but, like, it really does change the direction that you see things. Because, like, I see a lot of people, and they're like, my number's 777. I'm like,
you're like, what? How do you know what your number is? Like, someone tells you what your number is?
There's no, this is my number. It's the universe giving you that sign.
Oh, so whenever you, like, kind of see that number.
Yeah. The numbers that I keep seeing constantly this year is the number 2s. Will it be 22, 222, or 4 2s?
Right.
If you go online, I don't even know what it is. I stopped looking at it. But, like, I read a lot of number books. Like, getting to the understanding the root of it. And basically what I've come to a conclusion and what my astrologer has actually shared with me is, like, the number 2 is about reciprocation.
Okay.
You know, when you're going through something, you're having a nice day and, like, everything's fun. And, like, you kind of, you can relate to me. Like, you start creating this, like, life in your head without even trying. Best example was I went on a date and, like, I kept seeing the number 2s and, like, the date was great. Saw number 2s everywhere. I'm like, oh, I keep seeing number 2, and I kept pointing out to him, I keep seeing 2 to 2, blah blah blah. and like we're not really talking anymore.
Oh. So like you
You know what I
create this
mean?
false reality.
It's the numbers are there for a reason, and like the seeing the number 2 is the universe being like, just be reciprocative to
Yeah,
whatever's
yeah,
happening,
yeah.
whether that be good or bad.
Interesting.
You know. And then again with the example of 222, I sold my car recently, and I was trying to look at cars, and like I've always wanted a
Yeah,
Tesla.
yeah.
That's just I just like that. And I remember I went to go test drive one, and on the license plate it said 222. So at that time, before I had this knowledge, I was like, okay, this is a sign. With anybody, I was told you don't want to have 2s with anything that you're buying, because it's all about reciprocation. When you buy a car, you want it to work for you. You don't want it to not work for you.
Right. Oh.
So if I didn't have that wisdom, I would have had this Tesla, and I would have had probably problems
Yeah.
with it. I don't want to assume so, but it would have, it's like little things that the universe is telling you. But again, like if I didn't say that to you, and you were on the angel number tangent, like you would just like, oh, I saw 22. That's
like good.
Yeah, I'm gonna be fine. It's like you're gonna be fine, but it's not gonna be what you think.
Yeah, like you have to understand them better. I need to look up 4s.
And if you go,
I always see 4s.
And if you go search that, it's not gonna tell you that.
Yeah. Wow. So it's in.
And if you search angel number 222, you literally see all these different website links, and they're literally all copy and paste. They all say the same thing, and it's like, I'm like, okay, that makes no sense.
You're like, this doesn't make any sense, but whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Something I get into too with numbers is life path numbers.
What are those?
So you basically calculate your birth date. So for us, it's June 3rd.
Right.
So the 6th month plus 3, and then our year. But like, you don't take 1997. You add each number up.
Oh,
so
okay.
1 plus 9 plus 9, and then it comes to a number that's 2-digit, and then you add those two together, and then you get a number.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of just like your life path number, your role in this lifetime. The downstream from that is the year number. Like, so for everybody on Earth, a year number for us right now is a year 8.
Okay.
And 8 is all about completion and flow and cycles, and like, it is success in a way. So maybe you've noticed this year a lot of people started businesses, or businesses are thriving.
Oh, okay.
It's just like there's a lot of people starting things
that.
So like that's
okay. That's cool.
And my life path is actually 8.
Oh, okay.
And the year that it's funny, and this year, whatever the universal year number is the same for me. So it's a universal year 8, but also when I calculate myself, it's a year 8 for me.
Ah.
So this year has been shit because it's all about flow. Because 8 is sideways. It's infinity, so you have to flow.
Oh.
You can't flow. You're struggling. It's my lesson, but like that's what I'm saying. Like it's like little nuances like that make sense to me.
Wow, that's cool. It gives you like a new perspective on going through life and doing things. Like even thinking about the car, like it's just like people would never think like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Absolutely. To each their own, of course, but like it is the same equivalent of me going to a therapist and like figuring out my problems.
Yeah.
But it's not at the same time, because there's a more spiritualness to it. Because when you go to a therapist, they look at the bigger picture, but it's not like, what is my purpose here? It's like, okay, like if you're going through something with this person, it's like, hey, well, but what's happening here? What's going on? Right. Versus like, what's the bigger picture? It's like us looking at the world, and then you being in the spiritual side, you're looking at the solar system. Right. It's just a whole different ballgame. Yeah, it is. Wow. Know? It's interesting that you put it that way, because you're right. Like therapy is so like directed in one area, and you're not looking at anything else. I find it helps. It helps me. Obviously. Yeah. I just like doing all those. Yeah, things, it's interesting. I love that. You've inspired me. I need to look into my astrology. Yeah, I knew you would. I'm going to. I knew you would like it. I guess my last question for you would be, what would your next step with Logan? Besides looking up your astrology. Yeah, besides doing that, dedicating time to like focusing on what's going to bring my creativity side back to me and that fulfilled, and just like figuring out marriage and like, being a good partnership in life, and like going through that with like someone that like is going to be there forever, and like experiencing all the highs and lows together. I'm excited for it, so that should be fun. Well, Logan, thank you for joining me today. This was great to like learn about that whole experience, because like obviously when you hang out with people, like I've known you my whole life, I've seen everything, but I haven't seen that side that you experienced, so that was great to thanks for having me. This is awesome. It was so much fun.